Precious Blood Renewal Center. My name is Lucia Ferrara and I'm Director of Hospitality here at the center. And today's cooking session is going to be about gluten-free chocolate chip cookies. I have made this recipe repeatedly here at the center for many years, and often I have been asked to give out my recipe. So here is my recipe. I have come to terms with releasing my recipe, and so anyway, for all of you who wanted to know how to make the gluten-free chocolate chip cookies, here you go. So this is for you. So let me talk a little bit about the ingredients. So we're going to need 4 eggs, 2 cups of chunky peanut butter, any brand, just chunky peanut butter, 2 cups, 2 cups of semi-sweet chocolate chips, which I've already opened the bag and poured out. 1 12-ounce bag of semi-sweet chocolate chips equals about 2 cups of chips. And then we have 1 cup of chopped walnuts. You know, if you don't want walnuts, you can use pecans. I just use walnuts, and most people are not allergic to walnuts. Remember, this is peanut butter, so if you guys are allergic to peanut butter out there, you do not want to use peanut butter. I do not have a substitute for the peanut butter unless you want to go with maybe almond flour or something like that, but still, my recipe does require the 2 cups of peanut butter. And then last but not least, 2 cups of sugar. So this recipe may not have any flour in it or gluten, but it sure does have a lot of sugar. So anyway, so to get started, first you're going to preheat your oven to 350, which I've already preheated my oven to 350. And I am going to spray my cookie sheet here with non-stick cooking spray. And so we have that ready. So I'm going to start with my 2 cups of sugar. Put them in my bowl. So we have our 2 cups of sugar, 1 cup of the walnuts, 2 cups of our semi-sweet chocolate chips, and 1 jar, and this is a 16-ounce jar of peanut butter. It's about 2 cups. So I just take the whole jar and empty it out into my bowl here. Okay. And you know, these cookies are great for the holidays because you may have some folks that come to your holiday get-togethers that can't have, you know, gluten. And a lot of our recipes require, you know, flour and gluten. So this may be just a little simple dessert that you can make for your guest that can't have any gluten in their diet. And then we are going to crack 4 eggs. Okay. Doesn't matter on the size of eggs. I just typically use large. But it really doesn't matter what size, okay? So I am going to now blend this together really well. You want to make sure that everything is blended well, okay? The eggs, the sugar, everything has to be blended evenly, or otherwise you're going to get sloppy cookies, okay? The smell of the peanut butter, it smells so good, you guys. Now you know you can't lick the bowl because it's got eggs in it, so don't lick the bowl. No cookie dough licking here, okay? So, okay, as you can see, it's blended really well. And what I'm going to do, and this is just my little trick, is that I am going to let this rest either on your counter or in the refrigerator for about 15 minutes. So we're going to just let this rest, and what that does, it kind of just lets all the ingredients kind of soak in together. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and stick it into the refrigerator for about 10 or 15 minutes. So now I've taken out my mixture from the refrigerator, and as you can tell, it's a little bit stiffer. So, and that's what we kind of want. We want the mixture to be a little bit stiff. So I'm going to get a small, about a tablespoonful here, a ice cream dipper, and I'm going to stick that much on my cookie sheet. So we're going to fill this cookie sheet with as many little balls of dough here. And, you know, these cookies are great for the holidays, as I mentioned earlier. They can be very popular, and they're very easy to make. The only caution I give you is that depending on how hot your oven is, even though you're supposed to have it on 350, you still need to keep an eye on them that they don't burn. Another tip is you can make this dough the night before and leave it in the fridge overnight. So if you want to make this ahead of time the night before, that's even better. So I have my cookie sheet here. I'm going to stick these in the oven. We've put our cookies in the oven at 350 degrees, and we're going to leave them in there for about 12 minutes. And at about 10 or 12 minutes, I want you to check on them and see if it still looks kind of chewy or kind of wet on top. And if they are, then you need to leave them in there for a few more minutes, okay? And then we will come back with all of our cookies. All right, guys, so we took the cookies out of the oven, and this is how they look. And so I'm going to start taking them and putting them on the cookie sheet. And you're going to take your cookies and you're going to let them cool on your cookie sheet. So like I said, you have to really watch your oven temperatures, because if you don't watch them, they can burn, even though you put the non-stick cooking spray underneath. Okay, so you want to make sure that they are cooked. You may have to shape them up a little bit. Okay. I don't know if that one will stay there, but there we go. Okay. So there is your gluten-free chocolate chip cookies. And they are great with a cup of coffee or a cup of tea or even hot chocolate. So, but what I like them mostly with is with my friends and my family. So I wanted to leave you with a little bit of a reflection from this book. I'm reading this book it's called Rest Stops for the Soul, and it's a book by one of our own missionaries of the Precious Blood Priest here, Father Joe Nassal. And as I was reading, he talks about spiritual health food store, and it's about hope and humility. And it says here, and I quote, "The diet plan is simple. Drink as much hope and eat as much humble pie as possible. The intake of hope will circulate through our bodies to break up those clots of compromise and caution that accumulate in our arteries and cause us to be lethargic and listless. The humble pie we eat for dessert has very few calories and makes us feel small again." Then he goes on to say several paragraphs later, he says, "The main ingredient in both this hope and this humble pie is found in a natural herb we buy at the health food store, also owned and operated by Isaiah. Quote, a shoot that sprouts from the stump of Jesse. Isaiah 11:1. In this bud that blooms are the ingredients to make us young, small and childlike again. And the remarkable thing is that it doesn't matter what age we are. We can always take this medicine, follow this diet, and see how God is getting us back in shape for the journey that lies ahead." So with that, I leave you that in this very time that we are experiencing with a lot of uncertainty in our world, in ourselves, take time to sit and have a good chocolate chip cookie, some maybe tea and coffee with a friend, and just sit and rest and feed your soul, not only with good, delicious food and desserts, but feed your soul with that humility and that hope that Father Joe talks about in his book. It really helped me to really sit down and reflect that in my life. So I hope it does that for you as well. Until next time, ciao.